Go whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Chinova. You can look at the camera.
Yeah.
Straight.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we were very interested in how this all came to be, the seed of the project.
Well, we were at the International Assembly in 1979 in Florida. All of us incoming district governors were asked to attend the Rome Convention, the International Convention in Rome. And when we were in Rome, we were told, all of us, to go to a to an hotel where we were going to be briefed on the new program of Health, Hunger, and Humanity program of Rotary. However, most of us incoming governors, that trip was one of the first that we had undergone outside of the Philippines. So we had a hard time. We were all quartered in different hotels, and most of us had trouble looking for the meeting of the hotel meeting, and so we ended up late. Most of us, we ended up late, and I just asked a friend who was who attended that meeting, and what was the meeting all about? And they said, no, it's about a new program called Health, Hunger, and Humanity program. But since we were not there, we did not know anything. We did not have anything about the detail of the program.
This was 3H.
Yes.
Did you have an idea of what 3H was?
No. No.
When did you come to learn about what it was?
Well, everything that I knew only started in July 1. Because on July 1, 1979, I became the district governor. And that was the time when I started to be reading about the new program called 3H. And then that was when we received a notification from Rotary International that RI President James L. Bomar was arriving here on September 29, 28, in order to sign the agreement, the MOU, between the Philippine government and Rotary International, and at the same time to launch the 3H program worldwide. That was the first time when we got the notice from Rotary International.
Can you pause for a second? Sorry. Is it possible I take this out of the shop? Sorry lang.
Okay. Oo nga.
And
Sorry, may practice. Lalapit ko lang ito para hindi siya mahihirapan tumingin sa camera.
Okay.
How was this arranged, Mr. Chinova? Because he was coming in for a specific purpose.
Yes.
To sign that thing.
To sign.
Who arranged it?
No, I did. I did because first of all, I was asking, what MOU is this? I have never heard of anything that I have to witness or what to arrange. And that happened afterwards when John Giles from the Rotary office arrived. Apparently, John Giles was a public relations expert of Rotary International, and when he arrived, he had the draft of the MOU between Rotary International and the Philippine government. So it was his job to get the approval of the Philippine government for the signing. But of course, since we were under martial law at that time, he didn't know what to do. He did not know our government, so it fell on me to get the approval from the Philippine government.
What I want to know, Mr. Chinova, is... I'm sorry. Is you say you didn't know anything about the MOU before this time. How did it come about? Who was the person who started it?
Ah, that is that's a long story.
I'm sorry. Okay, can we
because-
make it short?
That started in 1977, 78, the Rotary year 77, 78, when the president of Rotary was Jack Davis. Jack Davis of Bermuda. It was him, at that time, all the world leaders were concerned because there was a prevalence of childhood diseases. So the world leaders at that time were trying to cope with the fact that there were childhood diseases all over the world. But at the same time, Jack Davis was concerned that in 2 years, Rotary was going to celebrate its 75th anniversary. So what are we going to do? So one day, he called for a meeting of the board. And in that meeting of the board, that was early of 1978, he asked the board, the Rotary Convention will be in Japan later this year. What do you think if we present to the Rotary world something about childhood diseases and the celebration of the 75th anniversary? So that evening, President-elect Clem Renouf of Australia thought about the problem deeply, and he took the whole night to formulate what that thing is. And so the following morning, he submitted his proposal to Jack Davis. And Jack Davis thought it was a good idea of coming out with a 2-year 75th anniversary fund for large projects, to help people that is beyond the capacity of any individual or any club or any district. And so the proposal was presented to the board, and the board liked it, no? So they scheduled it that the announcement will be made during the convention of Rotary in Japan that year. So in the convention of Japan that year, Jack Davis, who was the president at that time, came out with his theme of "Serve to Unite Mankind." In other words, that was the first time that anybody in Rotary talked about mankind or humanity. Because prior to that, all the president's themes were just how to improve Rotary. So that was the first time. And they already also primed the audience, because they got people to speak in the convention of mass immunization, and they talked about hunger, they talked about how to improve the people, you know. And so it was very timely, because when it was the turn of Clem Renouf, the president-elect, to speak, he said, and I quote, that now is the time than ever before that we should use all our talent and our resources to help mankind. And so he came out with a program called Health, Hunger, and Humanity Program. And so there was a thunderous applause by the people who were present at that convention. But when that proposal was circulated to the past presidents, there were 4 past presidents of Rotary that were objecting to it in principle. But at the same time, the board said, all right, you object, but we will continue. They continued by organizing a 3H committee. The 3H committee is composed of 45 45 members from 18 countries. And it was in that committee that was meeting that what should they do in order to implement the proposal. Now, at that time, WHO had various proposals. You know, one of the proposals of WHO, that is the World Health Organization, was set up a pilot project of immunization, polio immunization in the Philippines. But nobody paid attention to it, you know. It was just one of several that was being considered by the 3H committee. But then, at that particular time, some people were already saying, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. So, President-elect Clem Renouf of Australia went to the Philippines to attend a meeting. And it was during his presence in Manila that a telephone message came from Toronto, Canada, saying that the pharmaceutical firm in Toronto, Canada had vaccine of tetanus vaccine that was about to expire, but can Rotary use it? So what happened was the president referred it to Matt Caparas, and Matt Caparas referred it to, he was not a doctor, so he referred it to Dr. Sabino Santos. And Dr. Sabino Santos knows Dr. Elpidio Valencia, who was the Secretary of Health before. So Secretary of Health Elpidio Valencia said, I think the best way to do is to call the past district governors, past secretaries of health, including the father of Sid Garcia. So all those past secretaries of health met and they approved. Yes, I think the Philippine government can use that. So that message was relayed to Toronto, and Toronto sent the Toronto vaccine to the Philippines right away. And the Philippine government made use of it. So in such a short time, that vaccine arrived in the Philippines, was used by the Department of Health of the Philippine government. And so, at that time, they were also considering that polio immunization for the Philippines. So because it was recommended by WHO. So that
was it prevalent?
It was
polio?
Yes, it was prevalent because 45% of the polio death was in a 30 region area of the Philippines, and polio is very expensive. So they considered that. They considered it. So they said, well, so why not consider the Philippines? So that was the board decided, the 3H committee decided, yes, let's consider pilot project to be in the Philippines. And so that is when they decided to have it here in the Philippines. But then we do not know anything about it, you know. We didn't know anything about it. So that's when at the time the president was now James Bomar. He said, no, I'll go to the Philippines. I will go to the Philippines. I'll sign the contract with the Philippine government, and then we will launch the 3H program. Oh. So that information came to us. Now I was the governor of 37990 at the time, of District 3820. The Philippines was divided into two, 3820, 3810, and the others were in Visayas and Mindanao. But in the Luzon, I was I was the governor of the Manila area, so it fell on me to be the one to take care of his visit and of what he wanted to do. But I have nothing. I have no knowledge of what all of that. That was the first time I knew about it.
But this immunization thing that happened here,
After July 1.
but it was set up by the Philippine government,
No, no,
not Rotary.
no, no. No, it was set up by Rotary International.
Ah, okay.
So my job was to get approval of the Philippine government. How can I do that? I have to talk to the Secretary of Health or to the President, because we were under martial law. RI had no idea that we were under martial law. They thought it was just easy, you know. But I told them, we are under martial law. It will be very difficult to get approval of the Marcoses, you know. So they said, try to see if you can talk to the Department of Health. Okay. So I went to the Secretary of Health, who at that time was Enrique Garcia.
The father.
Enrique Garcia. I went to Enrique Garcia and he told me, no, I can, after explaining to him what it was, he said, I'm sorry, but I do not have authority. You speak to, you see Marcos. I said, all right, I'll see President Marcos. He said, no, you see Imelda Marcos, who at that time was the one of Metro Manila, was the head of Metro Manila at the time. Now, that was a problem for me personally, because my younger brother, Feni, was the right-hand man of Diosdado Macapagal, who was the opponent of President Marcos in the elections. But anyway, I said, well, I'll give it a try. We have no choice. So I started to find out what would be the thing. A friend of Imelda talked to me and said, sabihin mo sa kanya na the Philippines will be well known and she will be well known. I think she would like that, no? So, and then I found out that Rotary also had appropriated $760,000 for the polio. But it was a project only for parang trial project lang yun, eh, no? Pilot project. So Imelda, we went to see Imelda. We explained to her, but you know, she's very smart. She said, why polio? The biggest source of childhood diseases in the Philippines is tuberculosis. You know, she's very smart. Then I explained to her that we were already producing the tuberculin vaccine in sufficient quantities and at reasonable price, no? Then I started to tell her, you know, anyway, this one, Rotary International, has already appropriated $760,000. And what is more important is that this will be known all over the world. And they know all about the Philippines and know all about you, about her, no? And so I think that pleased her. And so she approved it. When she approved it, I relayed it right away to Rotary. And Rotary sent that fellow John Giles here to arrange everything. He had with him the draft of the MOU. And so it was his job to get the approval of the Philippine government by getting Secretary of Health to approve the draft, no? So I had nothing to do with approval of the draft. It was him who presented it and all that. Now, the problem there was that where was going to be to have the signing of the agreement and the launch of the 3H program. So he told me, oh, we have to have 100 mothers and children to observe all of that. So I said, how can we do that? We cannot do that in a hotel, because in a hotel they will not allow the people to go into the hotel. But then I remembered that the Rotary Club of Makati already had this property, and that we had a community worker working with us to help alleviate poverty here in the barangay. So I called for her, and we met here, and together with John Giles. And the issue there was that on that particular day of the signing, can you bring the children and mothers to observe the signing, and at the same time to be given the first oral polio vaccine? And the woman, a community worker, assured us that she can do it. No, she can do it. So she said, I know them very well now, and they trust me, you know. So when I tell them that it will be like this, they will all come. And true enough, on Saturday, September 29 of 1979, they were all here. Of course, we had to tempt them. We had a little food, you know, and something for the children, you know. So the Rotary Club Makati prepared all of that, and then we had the sound system, and then John Giles had this communication set up that whatever happened that evening will be beamed all over the world, you know. That was his job. So that happened, and but the president arrived on Friday, September 28. They arrived on Friday, and I brought them to Malacanang to pay our respects to the president and to Mrs. Marcos. But at that day and that afternoon, only President Marcos met us because Mrs. Marcos was indisposed. So she could not meet with us. So the President Bomar told me, Mr. Ichinawa, are we going to come back tomorrow? What is our schedule? I said, we have no choice, President Bomar, because she was the one who approved it. So she must be the one whom we should come and greet. So we came back the following day. But at that particular moment, there was already a meeting of Rotarians in Intercon. So we told them, please wait there while we will go to Malacanang first. So we went to Malacanang at 9 o'clock, and we met Mrs. Marcos, and she was very happy, of course, that President Marcos, President Bomar, and his aide, Rotarian Chuck Keller, and his wife, 4 of them, and myself and my wife, we came to greet her, and she said, she was very enthusiastic. She was very happy, and she said, "Yes, I will be there later on this evening, you know, in your dinner." So the following day, after that luncheon in Intercon, the people were there since 9 o'clock, and they had to wait until we came back from Malacanang, you know. And then after lunch, President Bomar rested for a while. Then he talked to the young people for 30 minutes. And then after that, he was ready to come back here to make the signing already. So on Saturday, September 29, the signing was done here. And then he gave that first oral vaccine to that Filipino child, and then right after that, there was a little boy that says, "That was my sister. Thank you, Rotary." That was caught by John Giles in the microphone, and he beamed that also all over the world. So that picture and that words, that was my sister. Thank you, Rotary, was received by everybody all around the world, and that was received by really happiness and by thanks by all the people around the world. They started contributing. They started contributing to the 3H program, and so that is how this is all started.
After that, what happened?
Well, happened was the 3H committee that was formed started to inform everybody all around the world about the 3H program. And what you would call those that the doctors and the scientists got together with Rotary, and they were joined by UNESCO, they were joined by WHO, they were joined by the disease control of the United States to plan out what is the next step to be done, no? And so they said that the best way would be to consider the mass immunization program of WHO. Because
this is Polio Plus?
Huh?
It's called Polio Plus?
Yes, that is when they started to the one that here was 1979. Now Polio Plus was started in 1985 when the RI president was Dr. Canseco. Now Dr. Canseco is a doctor, and both protagonists, Dr. Salk and Dr. Sabin, that are contrasting with each other how to treat polio. Each one has its own way. Dr. Sabin was for the oral polio vaccine. Dr. Salk was for the injection. So nag-aaway sila eh. So it had to be RI and Dr. Canseco to put them together because kilala niya yung silang dalawa. It was 1985 when RI President Dr. Canseco considered the total eradication of polio together with 6 other diseases of childhood diseases, and they projected by 2005 they can eradicate polio. But of course, you know, that did not happen. So up to now, we're still working on it. But from 116 countries, we're down to 3. But there is no 3 countries.
Yes,
but there is no polio. There is no safety from polio anywhere if there is no safety from polio everywhere. So up to now, we're still, as RI President John Germ said, that the World Polio Day will be the most important day in the history of Rotary. But I think the polio immunization program will be the greatest gift that Rotary has given to the world humanity. Because from that one Filipino child, now over 2.5 billion children have been immunized, and because they're immunized, they're not going to be cripples, because the disease of polio is paralysis of the legs, and everybody becomes cripples. Yeah. So can you imagine how that helped all the children of the world? To read.
Yeah, but it's sad because you said 3 countries. Now it's 4 because in the Philippines we have a resurgence.
Yeah. No, but you know, the plan was to have each country have its own national immunization day, so that if each country will do that, there will come a time when all the countries will be immunization free, will be already free from polio. Now, because of Dr. Juan Flavier was the one who spearheaded the immunization program here in the Philippines. Now, when I reported in 1984 to the Rotary that polio project here in the Philippines was able to immunize 80% of the 6 million children, everybody thought it was a great idea. I mean, not a great idea, but the 80% is a great accomplishment already. But these cases now, that is only the 2% that was not immunized, you know. That was at that time, maybe 2% was not immunized, but 98% of the children at that time were immunized. So that was in 1997. That was the last case, 1997. By 2000, the Philippines was declared polio-free because that is the system that the last case, and after 3 years, were it going to be declared to be polio-free. But I had nothing to do anymore with that is where this fellow, Oscar de Venecia, was in charge of, and he together with Dr. Flavier was the one who saw to it that the Philippines will be polio-free.
This was before Dr. Flavier was Secretary of Health, because he became Secretary of Health.
Yes. No. He was already Secretary of Health when
he worked on it?
He worked on it, yes. He already worked on it.
But that was fairly recent.
No. That was 1997 when the last case. At that time, Dr. Flavier was also a senator already at that time.
Okay.
He was a senator from 1995 to 2001. In 1997, the Philippines, the last case was reported. So, by 2000, the Philippines was declared polio-free. Now, 3 years ago, there was also an institute here in the Philippines. The same institute as what Sid Garcia is now organizing.
Okay.
3 years ago, one of the workshop discussions at the time was, at the expiration of polio, what next? I was one of the speakers then at that time. You know, I suggested 3 things. First, increased surveillance. Second, establishment of laboratories, testing laboratories. And third, more information to Rotarians, continuous information to Rotarians, that we should continue to be alert about polio.
Vigilant.
About vigilant.
Which
You
of
know,
those 3 was carried?
All 3 were submitted to the Department of Health. And all 3 were submitted to RI. But, you know, they did not establish the laboratories. For the cases now, they had to send it to Japan, to the laboratories in Japan to tell whether this is polio or not, or just ordinary paralysis.
Because?
We had no laboratories. We did not establish the laboratories.
But why wasn't any laboratory
Or maybe
established?
we had the same. We had laboratories, but not good enough to determine, you know, all these things.
Because we have no money? Why?
Maybe, I don't know. We have no means of knowing that. It depends on the Department of Health. But now they're doing very well. They're attacking that area there in Ilocos Sur. They're also attacking the area in Laguna. So maybe they might be able to do that, you know, as long as they're alert. They have the means to keep it only within a certain area. That is we are not yet considered as for cases is nothing, and that's nothing. So we're now only in that one. We have to keep it contained. Rather, containment is what now Secretary of Health is doing. Containment of polio in that area only in Ilocos Sur, in Olio, that area in Laguna. Just they're contained only there, not to spread it apart.
When is it considered a resurgence? You say 4 cases is nothing.
Yes.
How many cases do you need to consider it a resurgence?
I don't know. That's up to the Department of Health to determine. But now that's not considered because as long as there is containment, effort and containment right away, it will not spread also.
Are we doing immunization again?
Ah, yes, they're starting now. In some areas, in that area, in that area where the Ilocos Sur and Laguna.
I think there's one also in Mindanao. New. Okay. Reggie wants to know the interaction between Rotarians and beneficiaries. Are you aware of how the Rotarians interacted with the people who benefited from this program?
Oh yes, because the Rotarians worked with the Secretary of Health Garcia, Flavier at the time, in bringing the, I'll tell you, the immunization is not very simple. Immunization, I immunized myself, Indian poor people, when the board brought us to India, to New Delhi, and it was there in New Delhi that they said, okay, you guys go to we are assigned to this area. They assigned me to the worst areas, worse than what I saw here in the Philippines. I tell you. And you know how pala it's being done? If this is the city of New Delhi, first they have to find out where are the vaccines. The vaccines are being held from UNESCO to WHO, the World Health Organization. But that vaccine needs a cold chain.
Okay.
It needs to be refrigerated. So, first, they have to establish where it is coming from. Then they have to establish cold chain centers. From the cold chain centers, they have to establish now the immunization centers. And who are going to register the children in that immunization center? Now that is be done through schools. The schools are the ones who, and the ones that are nearest the immunization center. The schools are the ones who register all these kids, all these children below 5 years old. Okay. Then they have to count how many children are those, and then the cold chain center beside it will be the one to feed that every day, the whole day. So once that is all organized, they announce now a national immunization day. One day only. But in that one day, they're able to immunize thousands of people, thousands of children. Why? Because, let's say, where I went, I was there for about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So I was able to immunize maybe 10 children, but probably that community center only immunized about 150 maybe or 200. And then when I was about to leave, a tricycle came with the cold chain vaccines from the cold chain center to that immunization center. That go on the whole day. That goes on the whole day. Yung papadala ganyan yun. So it's not that simple. So during the whole time, the Philippines was not yet the Rotarians were helping in bringing the vaccine, bringing all the transportation, bringing the children to the immunization center. All of that, the Rotarians were doing that. Because Rotary cannot do that. It has to be the Rotary clubs who had to do that. See? Mm.
Yeah, but I think the reason your description is done is because they don't have refrigeration facilities.
I
in
tell you,
India.
when I saw, I felt so bad when I went to that area in New Delhi. I tell you, I thought the Philippines was so bad, but that area in New Delhi was really worse, you know. Tubig na lahat yung ganon. You walk in muddy place, you know, and you and then that's when I saw 10-year-olds bringing the 2-year-old children, 2-year-old sisters or brothers to the immunization center to be immunized. Ang nagdadala yung mga 10 years old or 11 years old, karga nila yung mga anak, yung mga kapatid nila. Oh. Well, I tell you, it's so fun. And then, during 1986, that was long after, I was in the convention in Munich when doctors from America spoke. I tell you, iyak na iyak ako. Because in the convention, these doctors from California spoke about what happened in Uganda, in a state, the state of Uganda in Africa, where they had to treat children and give them the immunization or treat the children who are lame, who cannot walk, to be able to walk again. If I tell you, maiyak ka when they hear their stories, you know. The whole, in that convention, when they were telling the story, I tell you, everybody was in tears. And that allowed, that made people put in their money for to donate to the foundation. To donate to the foundation.
What is the situation in Polio Plus now? Is that still alive?
Yeah, as I said, it's only one. 3 countries na lang.
No, Polio Plus.
Yeah.
Not polio. Polio Plus.
That's the same one. We're now concentrating on polio. The plus is very minimal now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't hear Polio Plus
That's
anymore.
right, anymore.
It's just end polio
Yes,
now.
polio, yes, correct.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Is there a chance we're going to lick polio?
Hmm?
Is there a chance that the world is going to lick polio at all?
Well, you know, for every dollar that the Rotarians donate, Bill Gates and his wife give correspond money for it also. So I think there will come a time when maybe another 5 years more, maybe, and we will be free.
Have we adjusted the date
Yes.
of the target?
Yeah.
What is the target now?
Well, I think maybe another 4 or 5 more years, maybe 2005, maybe 2025, maybe might be the
new target.
the new gate.
So is there anything else? Because
Yeah.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
It's a pretty comprehensive story. Your story.
There was a man from I don't know whether Oscar de Venecia will report on it, but you know, now they are trying to. RI has recognized certain people whom they consider to be pioneers, no? They forgot about me, but they name now in the Philippines si June Tampunting, si Oscar, at saka si Henson from Angeles, Pampanga, as one of the pioneers. Now, I'll tell you how I had nothing to do with the Philippines, no, but I know the guy who donated money from Australia he was the one who he donated $250,000 when they wanted to experiment in the city of Los Angeles in Pampanga how to immunize, how to distribute the vaccine. And the money came from this guy. He donated 250,000 Australian dollars to the Philippines. And they forgot about him, but I know him because I am in constant contact with him. He's now, he's still alive, but he's already staying in an old homes,
For the aged.
Yeah. I put his name there. Kwan, can I have my card, my bag?
How about Makati Rotary? What has the club done?
Nothing else anymore. Ito
Wala
pala.
talaga.
I don't know, where did I put that? Baka dun sa bag ko eh.
We never had an immunization program.
Who?
Makati Rotary
The what?
never had an immunization program.
No, no more.
No more na talaga.
No more. Since that time, they never had any.
Bakit?
I forgot na. Nandun siguro sa kotse. I thought I put it here. Anyway, I'll give it to you. Because up to now, I sent him a Christmas card and he sends me a Christmas card also. That's why I know his address. Yeah, he transferred from his house to a old homes one.
How old is it?
Huh?
How old is it?
It must be about 90 plus. It must be about 90 plus. But I went to see him in Australia one day. When I was there, I looked him up, and I was able to thank him personally in behalf of the Rotarians of the Philippines about how he helped try to find out how best to solve the polio problem by giving his money. His wife was a polio victim, that's why. So he.
Does polio strike adults?
Now here in the Philippines, we were about 75% of the deaths came from the Philippines on polio.
Pero bata, hindi matanda.
Bata, all children. It's a childhood disease.
Yes.
Polio is a childhood disease.
But why did
That's
you
why
immunize yourself?
yung polio plus, yung tuberculosis and
Pertussis,
yes,
etc.
Then there are about 5 or 6 of those.
Tetanus is one of them.
Tetanus also, yeah.
No, but I was wondering why did you have to take the oral vaccine in India and you're not naman a child?
No, not me. I was feeding the child. I was dropping the
Okay.
I was dropping the polio the vaccine to the child.
But because you said I took it myself.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
No. I did not take that.
You mean you dispensed?
No, I didn't say.
You dispensed the...
I was the dispense, yes.
Okay, you were the dispenser.
The dispenser, yes. I was the dispenser. That was mandated by RI of us so that we will know as a director of Rotary, we will know exactly how the progress is, how the system works, you know, and all that, you know. So I was there, so I myself dropped the vaccine on the child, about maybe 10 or 20, 15 of them, yeah. But the place is dirty, you know. That place is dirty.
You know, I just remembered there was an immunization project of a Rotary Club in the north. I think Tarpina or Pangasinan. No. Pangasinan, I think, or something.
No, most of the clubs are formed it without any as part of their
Yeah, right.
as part of their some brought the children to the immunization center of polio. Some set up the immunization center. Some put up the cold chains and the refrigerators and all that. Some provided for the transportation. So the clubs helped in every way, in different ways, you know. Clubs helped.
Because I remember si Peter Manzano, who is going to be president 2 years from now, yeah, or next year. Anyway, I remember there was a picture of him dispensing the oral vaccine to a child in Ilocos yata or something.
Oh. Well, that must be one of the projects of a club,
yes.
of a club president sometime during the last 50 years, you know. So I forgot about it already. So, you know, everybody forgot about it. So, well, maybe if you see Peter, you remind him of it,
yes.
Because he'll be the president next year.
Yes, yes.
So he probably knows.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, we'll look for that picture.
yeah.
Anyway, I think we covered a lot. Thank you, Mr. Genola.
Yeah. So
I'll just pick some parts
Yes.
there because it's only a 7-minute video and there are 3 of you. We're interviewing you, Mr. De Venecia, and another lady, DJ, who is based in Cebu. I don't know if you know her, May-Ann somebody. May-Ann.
what I have is this one.
That's the one of you and Mr. De Venecia.
It's only 3 pages.
Yeah.
3 pages lang. At 3 minutes, that's about 9 minutes, you know. So if I talk fast, maybe we can make it within the time frame. But then we also prepare the Teresa to prepare a what do you call this, PowerPoint presentation, so that when I speak, there is also a PowerPoint
but that's a
presentation.
different one. This one is only video.
Video na.
Yeah. So I'll just pick up that one. And well, if you want to share those things with me, good.
Well,
Tere can give me copies.
no, actually, it's it's just a personal satisfaction that you had something to do with something that saved 2,500,000 children from being cripples, you know. So you just thank our Lord, you know, that you were given that, we were given that opportunity,
But
you know.
Not just crippled, some of them died out, children.
Oh yes, yes. You can die of polio. In fact, in the Philippines, they said, according to WHO, I think this here, 45% of polio cases and 75% of polio deaths
Wow.
in the 32 nation region, within the 32 nation region here in the Far East. 75% and 45% of polio cases and 75% were here in the Philippines. That's why
Ganun ka prevalent.
that's why the WHO chose chose us to be the pilot project. So it's really, as far as the Philippines concerned, the one who brought the polio immunization program was Sabino Santos, Dr. Sabino Santos. He was the one who recommended to the 3H committee to consider.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Can you say that again? Sorry.
It was Dr. Sabino Santos who recommended to as a member of the 3H committee, he was the one who recommended that the pilot project as recommended by the WHO be done here in the Philippines.
This was in
1979 or 78, I think. 78. Yeah.
And he did that because as a doctor, he knew that
yes,
it was a very high prevalence rate.
That's right. Yes. Yes, correct.
Dr. Sabino Santos is gone. He's dead. Wala na siya. He
Well,
died na.
you know, as Imelda was very smart when he says, but why the Philippines? You know, it should not have, why the Philippines? Our biggest contributor to childhood diseases here is tuberculosis. But then we were doing already the tuberculin already. So we don't need the polio vaccine, which was very expensive.
Is it still expensive?
Yes, it's still expensive up to now. But most of the polio vaccine now were donated by pharmaceutical companies in America, you know. So that they donated through the UNICEF.
Okay.
They donated through UNICEF, and UNICEF in turn donated to the World Health Organization.
I got what I need. Thank you again.
Yes.
Maraming salamat.
Okay.
Salamat po. Salamat.
Not at all.